Good evening. Today is the 6th day of February 2017, and we continue with our series, Explorations in Savitri, with our brother Alok. We will complete today Book 2, The Traveler of the World's Canto 6, Kingdoms and Godheads of the Greater Life. We are now on page 198, just a little more than halfway down. It becomes very, very beautiful with lines that are just soaringly majestic.
At the same time, they carry the touch of divine pathos.
Yes.
And as we read through them, we must know that it's not the final verdict on all our efforts and attempts, but it's a reminder that life cannot be fulfilled or complete unless we have discovered the divine whole. That is the message. In the aimless mounting total of things done, existence seemed a vain necessity's act, a wrestle of eternal opposites, in a clasped antagonism's close-locked embrace, a play without denouement or idea, a hunger march of lives without a goal, or written on a bare blackboard of space, a futile and recurring sum of souls, a hope that failed, a light that never shone, the labor of an unaccomplished force, tied to its acts in a dim eternity. If we really take a close look at life, mounting total of futility, it reminds me of a story when someone went to meet Anand Mahima. So he sent a card inside, and the card contained all the degrees and achievements and things which have been done. And the person, there were a lot of things, the degrees and positions and things occupied. So the person, instead of rattling out everything, he just told her that a very learned person has come to meet you. He used the word Vidwan, full of knowledge, wisdom. So she made a witty remark. She said, in this city of avidya, ignorance, who is the Vidwan who has come? So, at the end, all our knowledge, achievements, things which we felt are, and every one of us discovers in our own way, whether it be in the field of science and technology, whether it be in the field of political activism. At the end, you discover that, nothing much has been achieved, maybe a little scanty. And if you see on larger spaces of time, you just wonder that was it really worth it?
I'm now recording Book 7.
Oh,
And the last of those voices,
Yes.
he voices exactly this.
yes.
Perhaps the whole thing is just a dream or,
Yeah. So that's how it appears. But as I said, this is not a final verdict of Sri Aurobindo on life.
well, it's only Canto 6.
Yes, it's a passage. And this is also an important realization that everybody must go through. There is no end, or none can yet be seen. That's how it appears when we are in the mid stage of this evolution. That famous story of two stories again come to mind. One is of Alexander, that it must be a legend. I'm not sure whether it's true or not. But he is reported to have remarked, when you bury me with my open hands. So they asked him why. He said, this is a reminder that despite conquering half the world, my hands still remained empty. This is a way of saying. And the other was that a thief goes, it's one of those short Zen stories, that a thief goes to steal in a monk's house. By chance, he enters a monk's house and he's looking for something and he can't find. So the monk points towards a cupboard and says, "There is a golden bowl out there, you take it." So he's surprised, but anyways, he takes it and goes. Then after a while, he returns back. He says, "Give me that which made you give away this so easily and readily."
Yes.
So,
Beautiful story.
beautiful story. So there is an impetus in life which doesn't give up. Although defeated, life must struggle on. Always she sees a crown she cannot grasp. Her eyes are fixed beyond her fallen state, looking forward, ahead. There quivers still within her breast and ours a glory that was once and is no more. Something she has lost, something which was there, and she is groping to find, hoping to get. Or there calls to us from some unfulfilled beyond a greatness yet unreached by the halting world. In a memory behind our mortal sense, a dream persists of larger, happier air, breathing around free hearts of joy and love, forgotten by us, immortal in lost time. So, this is the spur. Regardless of failure, difficulty, defeats, there is an inner spur towards life because it is sensed, it knows vaguely that no, there is something I have seen. It's like, those stories used to be there where the prince was abandoned and, he was told that, you are basically a prince. And he kept on searching, kept on meeting various challenges, but searching for his kingdom. So this is what happens to life. And look at this line. This is a marvelous line. A ghost of bliss pursues her haunted depths. She wants to capture it. She feels it is there. Oh, this will give me bliss. But it's lost. It's a ghost of bliss.
Do you feel that she had it before the manifestation?
She had it before the manifestation. Therefore, and even not only before the manifestation, as we shall see toward the end, it is because of the action of the inconscient that life's natural felicity is lost. It's not only a question of reaching the divine. If the inconscient were not there, life would feel a natural felicity.
Yes.
But because the inconscient comes, it's like the spoil sport. But nevertheless, it has been allowed to create a greater perfection because otherwise life would have been satisfied with its natural felicity like animals are. So it has to arrive at the divine, so all roads have been blocked. You have to tackle with the inconscient before you can get on to the next step.
And what was Mother's at the very bottom
Yes.
of the inconscient?
I struck upon
Most hard and rigid and narrow and stifling, I struck upon an almighty spring that cast me up forthwith into a luminous, vast, vibrating with the seeds of a new world.
She mentions in one of her experiences in the subtle physical. She says she sees lots of beings, people who are, who have given birth to new sects, founder of new sects, people with their own experiences. Then she says that, but you know what? That world, for all its perfection and beauty, there is something missing. It's very insipid. And she says, what is missing there is aspiration. She says, without aspiration, it is insipid. That is the beauty of earth. She says, it's only here that you have the aspiration. And if you really look at it, she was asked that why do we have to do this complicated process? Why can't the divine directly? Ultimately, he is going to do his will. So why aspiration? Because aspiration in itself adds a joy which you can't find anywhere else. This search for someone or something whom we cannot touch, see, sense or feel, but still somewhere we know exists. That's the beauty of earthly life. For she remembers still though now so far. A ghost of bliss pursues her haunted depths, for she remembers still, though now so far, her realm of golden ease and glad desire. So there is also a possibility that desire can be pure. In fact, when we enter the king paradise of the life gods, we will see that. Even desire can have the stature of the gods. So, but on earth it becomes something else. And the beauty and strength and happiness that were hers in the sweetness of her glowing paradise. So, between the paradise of the life gods and this fallen state of life, even the greater life, there stands the darkness. You have to go through that. There is no direct access, it has been denied. So, you have to go through a circuitous process. So, it's actually the darkness is like a purgatory. It cleanses you of all that is heavy and dross, then only you can enter this paradise. Inner kingdom of immortal ecstasy, halfway between God's silence and the abyss. So this is referring to the paradise. This knowledge in our hidden parts we keep. Awake to a vague mystery's appeal, we meet a deep, unseen reality, far truer than the world's face of present truth. So, regardless of all the appearances, all the denials, we still trust this intuition within us.
And then these two lines.
Yeah.
Oh,
We are chased by a self we cannot now recall, and moved by a spirit we must still become. Actually, all the lines here are very powerful. Toward the end, these lines become more and more powerful. See, this is what we were reading about as one who has lost the kingdom of his soul. And this being chased by a self we cannot recall. And now, we have this story of the promised land, where there is an oppression from all sides and you are driven away from your own land of origin and you have to reach a promised land. Now, I feel this myth is basically not so much about a geographical piece of land as about the inner continent of peace and bliss, where we are driven by everything that opposes and oppresses, so that we can eventually discover that reality which we are. So that's the kingdom of his soul. We look back to some God phase of our birth, other than this imperfect creature here, and hope in this or a diviner world to recover yet from heaven's patient guard what by our mind's forgetfulness we miss. See, this we can experience in our own life, that when we were children, we long to grow up. We see a lot of things about adults and we feel, this is something wonderful. When we grow into adults, we look back upon that state. There was such a natural joy, you didn't need anything. To be was to be happy, just to simply be. So something similar, because the mind comes. So what we have lost by the mind's forgetfulness, our being's natural felicity. We don't need anything to be happy. If you look at children, they are just naturally happy. It's we as adults and the surroundings, environment, and very often this school is different. Otherwise, with our own ideas, we start corrupting this original file. What will you become? How will you be? So otherwise children are naturally happy. They don't have, mind comes and brings in all these complications.
even in education, I was reading today, Mother says up until the age of 7, all schooling should be play for a child.
Yes. She also says what you should do. She says if you can just provide them a one drop of love and an atmosphere of joy. That's all that is needed. There's nothing else required. They'll blossom. But that means a tremendous leap for the parents and the educators, which is the difficult
Especially
part.
the teachers.
Teachers. It's a huge leap. Our heart's delight we have exchanged for grief. How did we exchange? Because we thought only if I get this I'll be happy. And who brought this into our system? Well, the grown ups, the adult mind. So we exchanged it for grief. And when we left it, went after it, we got it and we discovered, oh my God, no, no big deal. Got it and it lost it. The body's thrill we bartered for mere pain. See, even again as a child, there is a natural trust. You have an injury, children just feel it'll be all right. I've seen so often, these children will come to a dispensary, come and show this, that, and they'll just show it and you tell them, okay, you apply this. So they are happy and they smile and go away. If they come with parents, then it's a problem. Does he need an antibiotic? I think, tetanus we should give. So all those have come in. And by the time the child passes out, he is full of these ideas. The bliss for which our mortal nature yearns, as yearns an obscure moth to blazing light. It wants to lose itself. It wants to finish itself in that light. Our life is a march to a victory never won. We think we have won it, but at the end we discover that all our achievements, all our victories were defeats of the soul. As Sri Aurobindo says, Mother says, they were tragedies of the soul. Our successes. This wave of being longing for delight, this eager turmoil of unsatisfied strings, these long, far files of forward striving hopes lift worshipping eyes to the blue void called heaven, looking for the golden hand that never came. The advent for which all creation waits, the beautiful visage of eternity that shall appear upon the roads of time. So at the end, it goes through this whole process and then it turns towards the beyond, waiting for God to come, for Him to manifest in an earthly body. Now we have these very
lines.
marvelous lines. And to me, they have a very special importance because, the first book that I came across was Sri Aurobindo's Synthesis of Yoga and Secret of the Vedas. So I didn't know anything about ashram, mother, anything. And I was reading the book and posted to Bikaner, one of the Air Force station, where suddenly Sri Aurobindo and the mother started coming from every side. I'll tune into the radio and I'll hear mother's music. Just imagine, at the end he'll say, it's this is mother's music from, this was some Auroville program. Now I still don't know how it came and how it got tuned to. It's a mystery. I'll go and meet somebody, Sri Aurobindo and the mother's picture. So very, very many interesting things were happening. So one of the interesting thing was that I walked into somebody's office, an engineering officer, and he was not there, and I looked into his table and I saw Sri Aurobindo's picture with these lines. It was one of the darshan cards. And when I read these lines, I said, my God, what a line. What are these lines? These are fantastic, out of this world. And they are from Savitri. That was my first exposure to Savitri through these lines. So, they have a very special importance for me. Yet still to ourselves we say rekindling faith. Despite everything, we have the faith. Life has the faith. It has the intuition that the divine exists and will come down. And that is what is embodied here. Oh, surely one day he shall come to our cry. And Sri Aurobindo says this is the attitude we should keep. He gives that story of the bhakta and the yogi, tapasvi. So Narada is passing by and both of them suddenly see, they greet the sage and say, tell us, you are going to meet the Lord. Ask from him, when will the God appear before us?
Oh, yes, yes.
So he said, all right. So he says, I don't have to go there. I have my mobile. So he calls him up. We should make them contextual. Narada going and coming is quite a bit of time. There one day can be one lifetime. So he comes back and says, I have already spoken to him. You, turning to the tapasvi, you have 3 more lives. 3 more lives of tapasya. Let me enjoy the nearest ice cream. I have for long starved myself. Third, 3 lives is still a long way. So he walks away. And then the bhakta, see how many leaves are there on the tree? I can't count. That many lives after which God will come and manifest. Oh, my Lord will come. He will come. Hari will come. Divine will come. And he starts dancing in joy, and suddenly the divine manifests.
He's taken up.
This story, which has been spoken by Sri Ramakrishna, has been reiterated and quoted by Sri Aurobindo. So it becomes something very special. So this is the story of faith. One day he shall create our life anew and utter the magic formula of peace and bring perfection to the scheme of things. This is the faith we have to keep. And the mother says you should never become a cynic. Life will offer its own share of good things and bad things. I feel like humorously saying there are good guys out there and there are bad dudes. You get it what I'm saying. Waiting out there, but still trust the good guys, they are there. Everybody is not a bad dude. But you have to be, of course, careful. That apart, never become a cynic. There are a lot of good things which happen in life. Goodness is there, goodness grows.
And of course, she says, even the difficult things, take
Yeah,
everything
take
as
everything,
grace.
grace. And it'll turn out to be so. What's there? We should not never become a cynic. So we should always have the faith that one day he will come to our cry and utter the magic formula of peace and bring perfection to the scheme of things. One day he shall descend to life and earth, leaving the secrecy of the eternal doors into a world that cries to him for help and bring the truth that sets the spirit free. The joy that is the baptism of the soul. Look at this line. It's our birthright. We don't have to ask anyone for giving us happiness. We don't have to depend on anything for happiness. It's a birthright. We should not lose it. I think that story is then of Esau and Jacob bartering the soul for porridge, something like that. Bartering the right, the birthright, for a bowl of porridge. So the birthright here is the right of the soul to be happy. You don't need anything else.
Yes.
Baptism, which is the natural baptism, the joy. That is the baptism of the soul. It's also a sign. What is true baptism, if we really look at it like this? It's not an external ritual like initiation. It's the contact of your soul. The day you feel it, you feel the joy and the peace.
And you're reborn.
You're reborn. Then, of course, you will go through wailing and finding and wailing and finding. But that touch is there. A lot of people describe that when they first came to the yoga or when they first came to the ashram, when they first had a glimpse of the mother, they experience this state. Or now, like they go to samadhi. Then they go through a lot of things in life. I have seen, people go through lots and lots of things. But the touch sustains them. They have felt the touch of the soul. It's never lost. Regardless of all the difficulties and challenges, that one touch, one moment.
The call once taken.
Yes.
Now he says so beautifully.
Absolutely. Because
nothing can stop.
Nothing can stop. And it remains as a permanent, lives after lives. It'll go on because that touch one has felt once, that's enough. And Mother puts it from the other side that if I have seen someone even for a moment,
Yes.
it is finished. The destiny is sealed.
She is responsible for them.
For them, even when they turn hostile and go away. Can we imagine?
Yes.
I hold myself responsible for them.
Yes.
It is finished. Another place he says, if you have turned to the divine and said, I am yours, then the whole world cannot keep you away. You are bound to reach that point.
Yes.
So this is the baptism, the true, which is an inner process. The strength, that is the outstretched arm of love. Look at this line. It's only love that can plunge itself into the abyss and rescue. No other power, no other strength can. Love can lean into the abyss. And mother says again, my child, when you sink, I do not stand on the shore. I sink down with you. I sink into the abyss to rescue you. That is love. That is strength. That is power. One day he shall lift his beauty's dreadful veil. This dreadful veil is the world, with all its veil of ignorance, the frightening mask of death. So many veils the divine is wearing, disguises. And basically it comes to play, but in such weird forms, weird disguises. And if we know, if we can say it with all the courage of conviction and faith in our heart that I know it is you who is wearing this mask, he takes it off and smiles. Sri Aurobindo speaks of that. But we are so much taken aback by the mask, by the frightening appearance, that we say, my God, who is this? We start searching for God here and there. But He is right there, behind the mask. So beauty's dreadful veil impose delight on the world's beating heart and bear His secret body of light and bliss.
That was the passage that you saw.
This passage, and the beauty is with Sri Aurobindo's picture atop, sitting on the sofa, half picture. And when I read this passage, I felt it inside. This is about him. He is the one. He has put off the veil. He is the one who has come out of his closed doors spontaneously. I mean, I had not known about Sri Aurobindo's life. I was just reading his book. And I saw the picture and I said, he is the one. He has particularly this, I still remember that state where, half bare body with the dhoti. And when I read this line, bear his body of beauty and bliss, I said, there he is. And these two arms, my impression was the joy and the strength and the love. So I saw those hands and I said, this is the outstretched arm of love. Automatically, these things just came as a flash. Can't be described. And so much joy I felt reading these lines. But then, these are those moments when life touches some deepest core in us and a fire is lit, the fire of yoga. But then we have to, there is the nature which stands on the way. But now we strain to reach an unknown goal. There is no end of seeking and of birth. There is no end of dying and return. The life that wins its aim asks greater aims. The life that fails and dies must live again. Till it has found itself, it cannot cease. So this is the hope, this is the beauty. Everything is changing, it's great. That means nothing will remain permanent, including our fallen state, our littleness. But we can look at it another way and say, oh my God, everything is changing, everything is transient, and people fall into feeling bad. But it's good, it's a boon that everything is changing. Yes. That means I have hope. Otherwise, I would be fixed with an eternal imperfection. All must be done for which life and death were made. But who shall say that even then is rest? Look at Sri Aurobindo and the mother. after achieving everything, who shall say that even there is rest? And even most physically. Sri Aurobindo, mother says once, he says, you know, it's because of them, pointing to the disciples, that he became blind. Let's use this word. Then she says, I heard him say so. They were making him sign books after books and letters after letters, and many letters which were just reiterating the same point in different ways. Sometimes inanities, stupidities, quarrels, problems, and Sri Aurobindo would do it. And he says, once I heard him say quietly, I was near so I could hear him. Nobody else heard. Oh, they will turn me blind. This is how they lived with compassion. Mother herself. Birthdays. One day she says, 1,500 people waiting to meet. I can't imagine. I mean, if there are 5 appointments in my diary, I say, oh my God. If there are 20, then I say, oh, quite a bit, I'm busy. 1,500, and they all want from her. Nobody is coming to give her. They all want. This cry, that cry, sometimes a long list. And the divine is just granting. They pull her vital, pull everything, and she gives and gives and gives. Just imagine, just seeing 1,500 people, 5 minutes each, and what will be the condition? I remember Dr. Bish saying once, I didn't used to go for mother's darshan. So I said, why? He said, I used to feel pity. I said, what pity? On yourself or on the divine? He had a sense of humor. He said, on the divine mother. Just think about it every time she is picking a flower and giving. And think about it doing it 200 times. So I wanted at least this part I can reduce. This is another form of bhakti. And we continue to do it. So there is no rest in creation. In manifestation, there is always something greater to manifest. And that's why Sri Aurobindo says, you cannot say that you have achieved Par-Brahman. You cannot say that you know the infinite. Because in the infinite, there is always something to learn. That's why it is infinite.
Mother speaks the same thing about perfection.
Yes.
That there will always be more and more to perfect.
Yes. Or their repose and action are the same in the deep breast of God's supreme delight. So their force one with unimaginable rest. They unite. In a high state where ignorance is no more, each movement is a wave of peace and bliss. Repose, God's motionless, creative force. Action, a ripple in the infinite. And birth, a gesture of eternity. Again, this is how I look at Sri Aurobindo's birth and mother's birth. Yeah. Gesture in eternity. That's why mother said eternal birth. A gesture of eternity. A sun of transfiguration still can shine. And night can bear its core of mystic light. That's what you were referring, mother's message. This self-cancelling, self-afflicting paradox into a self-luminous mystery might change. The self-cancelling, self-afflicting paradox is life. A part of it aspires towards a godlike state. Another part is pulled toward the abyss and dragged by hell. So, self-cancelling, self-afflicting. But it can change into a self-luminous mystery. But after night has bared its core of mystic light, then only. The imbroglio into a joyful miracle. Imbroglio, what a term. All God's creation start as an imbroglio. We have one closest to us. Total. And somebody asked Sri Aurobindo, human nature has so many sides. So, why is it so? Shobindu said it takes many ingredients to make a good recipe. So in ashram you have God's khichdi. Only it is khichdi in the making. Khichdi, what, is there an English word for khichdi? I don't know. You mix rice, dal, various vegetables and all things. Only thing is it's still in the making. And sometime when a new ingredient comes again, everything has to... He's cooking a good meal, delicious meal for himself. So imbroglio is that only, it's a kind of chaotic state because of many ingredients.
Yeah.
So it'll change into a joyful miracle. Then God could be visible here. Here, take a shape. Disclosed would be the spirit's identity. Life would reveal her true immortal face. But now a termless labor is her fate. It's so interesting, this experience. It's on a very miniature level. I'm sure you would have had it. I saw how the change came. When I came to the ashram, I came with all my notions. Everybody comes with a baggage. And I would see somebody shouting and another person coming to fists. I suddenly felt, where have I come? Have I come to a right place? But this is the place I have to be in. So I have no choice. Now the beauty is, I just laugh, and it's really a laugh of, as if there is a divine play going on. And it's from the heart. It's not because of any insensitivity or anything. Even today, somebody said, "Oh, you rush upstairs, see, that person is beating the other person." I said, "Don't worry, everything will be okay." So after some time, the second person comes and says, "That person has beaten me." So then I kept quiet, but I was thinking of asking, "Did you also beat back?" So probably my thought went, and this person is telling me that, "Next time, shall I give a blow?" I said, "Do what you want, don't quote me." And it was all fun. I mean, such a big thing happening, and it's fun. Somebody else would wonder if they hear for the first time. But you actually begin to see that it's a play of God and there's nothing more to it. It's, don't take it so seriously. That's where we need to just play with the Lord. And the same person, next moment will be very different, very nice, very, very good to you. So you realize that it's all just nothing but a...
Mother says smile.
Smile, that's right. But now a termless labor is her fate. In its recurrent decimal of events, birth, death are a ceaseless iterations points. The old question mark margins each finished page. Earth each volume of her efforts history. At the end of Mahabharata, question. At the end of Ramayana, question. At the end of Christ's advent, question. At the end of every religion, question. At the end of ideologies, each effort's history, question. Now look at it. Amalda has made such a wonderful humor out of this line. He speaks about himself.
Yes.
He says, my life, it has been like what is described in Savitri. These lines he quotes. A limping yes through the eons journey still, accompanied by an eternal no. He used to limp. He had a limp because of polio. So he says, limping yes. But there is an eternal no. No. Not yet. So, Saint Augustine's famous prayer, Lord, grant me chastity, but not yet. So, limping yes, through an eternal no. All seems in vain, yet endless is the game. Shubindu uses the word yet. It's not really vain. The game goes on. Until the show reaches its finality, you cannot say. Impassive turns the ever-circling wheel. Life has no issue. Death brings no release. Our acts prolong after our body state. Mother says even people continue to quarrel. Those who were quarreling after dying, when they meet each other, they continue to quarrel. She gives a concrete example of two fellows who have gone, he says, there also they are quarreling with each other. So, you see, we should sort out all our quarrels here. Imagine going there, you have no arbitration court and no psychiatrist. I don't know whether I'll be employed there or not, but you have to pacify. Don't worry, you don't have a body, stop quarreling. No, 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 don't talk about body and all. I'm angry with him. That's the end of the story. That it's a pity, you know. Death brings no release. A prisoner of itself, the being lives and keeps its futile immortality. Life is immortal, it never dies. It continues to live on other planes. But what's the utility? Until it transforms. Extinction is denied, its soul escape. So in the greater life, you just cannot find an exit. You will come back, you have no choice. It's denied. You can't exit just like that by wishing. So those who think that death is an escape, no, it's not. Mother says, in fact, you come back with still greater burden of difficulties. So actually one should be very happy, not ask for difficulties, but if there are many difficulties, that means I have a chance of solving many things in one lifetime. So start getting to solve them rather than come back and take a greater burden. At least clear this much mess. So it's wonderful. So in that state, it appears an error of the gods has made the world, or indifferent, the eternal watches time. So we have to be so careful when we quote Savitri. In fact, any of Sri Aurobindo's writing. I have seen this last passage being quoted. Sri Aurobindo. And the person who is quoted and doesn't even know, he has just quoted this passage and written Sri Aurobindo as a message from Sri Aurobindo. Oh. Now this is not to be distributed as a message. So, we have to be so careful. But this is the state in which ultimately life experiences. With this ends this canto, end of Canto 6. And then Sri Aurobindo will show us the way, though a dark passage, yet it's a night of the soul through which everyone must pass. Yet he holds our hands and she carries us in her bosom. And when her love, which is the outstretched arm of love, her strength, which is the outstretched arm of love, and the joy that is the baptism of the soul, they carry us through the night is no more night. It is simply a mask of God.
Verily, verily,
He is
in
delight.
humiliation is found the cradle
Cradle
of
of
glory.
glory. That's right.